everyone, welcome to another deep dive. Today we're going to be looking at Tim Stoddard.
Okay.
And we're going to be talking about his journey to becoming a multi-million-dollar entrepreneur. So he was actually featured on the Grand Success podcast,
Right.
which is all about inspirational business stories.
Yeah.
So are you ready to get inspired?
Absolutely. Tim's story is pretty amazing. You know what I really like about it is he built his whole business from nothing, just starting with a blog. And now he's running multiple businesses, making between $5.2 and $5.5 million every year.
Yeah, it's a really cool story, and it shows, you don't need some fancy office or some big team to make something really amazing.
Yeah.
And what's so interesting is that he started as a recovering addict.
Wow.
Sharing his experiences on his blog, and it wasn't like some business plan or anything. It was just him being authentic and connecting with people.
I think that's what makes his story so relatable, that authenticity is what actually got him his first client.
Oh, really?
A treatment center reached out to him through his blog and offered him $2,000 a month to help with their marketing.
So it was like his passion turned into this opportunity.
Exactly. And that's when things really started to take off for him. He went from working in his business to building these assets that generate cash flow.
Hey, that's a good point.
And that's where Tim's strategic mind really comes into play. He didn't just rely on one stream of income. He decided to diversify. So, for example, he founded Stasi Internet Marketing. That's his SEO and lead generation agency, which now brings in about $2.5 million a year.
Wow, that's incredible.
But he didn't stop there. He also owns and runs several websites that are all about addiction recovery under his brand Recovery Local.
Okay, so we have the agency and we have the recovery websites.
Yes. And then there's Copyblogger, which is his educational platform.
Okay.
Where he teaches people all about SEO, content writing, and building online businesses.
Hold on. I think we need to break down SEO for a second.
Yeah, sure.
I know a lot of people listening might be familiar with that term, but it's always good to just give everyone a refresher.
Absolutely. So SEO stands for search engine optimization. And it's basically making sure that your website shows up high in the search results, like on Google when people search for certain keywords. So let's say someone searches for addiction recovery resources.
Okay.
And one of Tim's websites pops up at the top of the page. That's SEO doing its thing.
Okay, perfect. Thank you for clarifying that. So now we have the agency, we have the recovery websites, and we have this educational platform.
Yes. And he actually has a few more businesses.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he has a few lead generation companies as well, like Moving Local Stem Cell Authority and Your Boulder.
Wow, so he's really not putting all his eggs in one basket.
Exactly. He believes in having multiple streams of income, especially because the online world can be pretty unpredictable.
That's smart. And that brings me to something that I found really refreshing about Tim. He doesn't believe that you need to build some huge media empire to be successful. He has this one keyword at a time philosophy that I found really interesting.
I know. It's a brilliant strategy and surprisingly simple.
Can you tell me more about that?
Sure. So basically, he focuses on identifying these specific search terms that people are actually using, and then he builds entire businesses around them. Instead of trying to be everything to everyone, he's focusing on solving very specific problems. With targeted content, it's about understanding what your audience needs and giving them exactly what they're looking for.
Okay, that makes sense. So he finds the keyword, figures out what people are searching for, and then builds the business around that.
Exactly.
That sounds really simple, but isn't focusing on just one keyword at a time kind of limiting?
That's a great question. You might think so, but it actually allows you to become a real expert in that specific niche. When you focus all your energy on mastering one keyword, you can create amazing content and services that really connect with your target audience. It's about quality over quantity.
Okay, I like that. Now, we can't talk about Tim's success without talking about his experience with running an agency.
Of course.
He's very open about the good and the bad. He says that one of the biggest advantages is that it doesn't cost much to start an agency.
Yeah.
But scaling it can be really difficult. So what kind of strategies does he use to overcome those challenges?
Well, he really emphasizes the importance of sales and negotiation skills.
Okay.
He doesn't just wait for clients to come to him. He goes out and finds them and makes sure that he's giving them what they need. And he has these three main tips that have been really effective for him.
Okay, tell me everything.
All right, so tip number one is to figure out what the client's pain points are, what their challenges and frustrations are. And he does this by asking strategic questions.
So before he even mentions his services, he really tries to understand what the client is going through.
Exactly. It's about building that connection and showing that he genuinely cares about helping them.
I see. So it's empathy before the pitch.
Exactly.
Okay, I like that. What's the second tip?
The second tip is to be upfront about pricing.
Okay.
He believes that by talking about costs early on, it helps avoid wasting time with clients who aren't willing to invest.
So no beating around the bush.
Exactly.
It takes confidence to do that. It shows that he knows his worth. What's the last tip?
Okay, so the last tip is his closing question.
Okay.
He asks, "Are you ready to get started?" And then he just stays silent.
Oh, wow.
He lets that question just hang in the air. And it gives the client time to think and make a decision without feeling pressured.
That's interesting. Most people would probably want to fill that silence with more talking.
Right.
But it sounds like he understands that sometimes it's better to let the client come to their own conclusion.
Exactly. And these sales strategies have clearly paid off because his agency is incredibly successful.
Yeah, it sounds like it. But now let's move on to another interesting part of his story, his investments. So he doesn't just keep all the profits from his agency, he reinvests them.
Right. And he has a very particular set of criteria that he uses to evaluate potential investments.
Oh, yeah, you're right. He mentioned that.
He's looking for three things.
Okay.
He wants to like and trust the founder. He wants to make sure that the business is already making money. And he focuses on evergreen businesses that have long-term potential.
Okay. Can we break those down a little bit?
Sure.
What does he look for in a founder to know that he can trust them?
He looks for passion and integrity.
Okay.
He wants to invest in people who are really enthusiastic about their businesses
Yeah.
and are committed to building something ethical and sustainable.
So it's not just about a cool business idea. It's about the people behind it and what they stand for.
Exactly. He sees it as a partnership where he can use his experience to help other entrepreneurs overcome challenges.
I like that. And why is cash flow so important to him when he's looking at investments?
Well, Tim really believes in making decisions based on data.
Okay.
So he wants to see that a business is already working before he invests his money. Cash flow is a good sign that a business is viable, and it minimizes his risk as an investor.
It's a smart way to approach investing, especially with startups, which can be really unpredictable. He's not just betting on potential. He's investing in something that's already proven itself.
Right, and this is also related to his focus on evergreen businesses.
Okay.
He's looking for companies that address those problems that are always going to be around,
Oh, that makes sense.
regardless of what's trendy or what's happening in the market.
So can you give us some more examples of what an evergreen business would be?
Sure, think about things like healthcare, education, or personal finance. These are things that people will always need. They're fundamental human needs.
So he's looking for businesses that solve those timeless problems. It seems like Tim's investment philosophy is a mix of intuition, careful research, and a focus on long-term sustainability.
Absolutely.
He's not trying to make a quick buck. He's building a collection of companies that he thinks will have a positive impact for years to come.
Exactly.
I'm curious, has he ever shared any stories about investments that didn't go so well?
He has, and he's very open about his mistakes. He believes that you can't avoid making mistakes in business, and that the most important thing is to learn from them. So there was this one time that he invested in a company, and it seemed really promising at first. But then it turned out that the founders weren't very dedicated, and they weren't willing to put in the work. So it was a valuable lesson for him about how important it is to look at the people involved, not just the business idea.
Yeah. I think it's really cool that he's willing to talk about his failures. It makes his success seem more realistic. Because it shows that it's not about being perfect. It's about learning and adapting along the way.
Exactly. Tim's story really highlights the idea that success is a journey. It's not about reaching a specific destination. And that journey is full of both wins and losses.
Yeah, I agree. So as we wrap up this first part of our deep dive into Tim Stoddard's world, what are the main things you think people should remember?
Well, I think there are so many great lessons in Tim's story. But if I had to pick a few,
Okay.
I'd say first, be yourself, be authentic. Tim built his success by being true to himself and sharing his story openly. So don't be afraid to be vulnerable and connect with people on a genuine level.
I like that. What else?
Second, have a plan, be strategic. You know, Tim's success didn't happen by chance. He made smart choices, built systems, and surrounded himself with a great team. So think about your own goals and come up with a plan to reach them.
Okay. And the last one.
And lastly, never stop learning. Tim is always looking for new knowledge, trying new things, and adapting to how the business world is changing. So stay curious and be willing to change your approach as you go.
That's good advice. And all of that really connects back to Tim's idea of focusing on one keyword at a time.
Absolutely.
It's about focusing your energy on something, mastering it, and then building something really meaningful.
Exactly. It reminds us that we don't need to have everything figured out or have a perfect plan to be successful. You can just start with that one keyword, that one passion, that one step forward, and see where it takes you.
I love that. Well said. And that brings us to the end of the first part of our deep dive into the world of Tim Stoddard. We hope you enjoyed this exploration and that you learned some valuable insights that you can use in your own life.
Thanks for listening.
And we'll be back after a quick message to continue our deep dive.
All right, welcome back. We're still deep diving into the world of Tim Stoddard, and before the break, we were about to uncover the secrets of how he manages his time with all those businesses and investments.
Yeah, it's something that a lot of entrepreneurs struggle with. How do you stay on top of everything without burning out?
Right.
But Tim's approach is surprisingly simple.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Tell me more. Tim is all about systems and tools. He believes that if you have the right processes in place, you'll be more efficient and you can scale your business more easily.
So it's not about working harder, it's about working smarter.
Exactly, and that's where technology comes in.
Okay.
Tim has this whole set of tools that he uses.
Okay, let's get into the specifics. What kind of tools are we talking about?
So for communicating with his team, he loves using Slack. It makes it super easy to collaborate and keeps everyone in the loop. And then he uses Loom to make quick videos, like instructional videos for his team or for his clients. It's a really efficient way to explain things visually.
I've heard good things about Loom. And what about task management? With so many different things going on, I'm sure he needs a good system to keep track of everything.
He swears by Todoist. It helps him stay organized and prioritizes to-do list.
Yeah.
It's simple, but it's effective.
I like simple but effective. And when it comes to managing client relationships and sales, he's probably using a CRM, right?
You bet he uses HubSpot. It's a really popular customer relationship management system that helps him keep track of all his interactions with clients, and it automates some tasks and makes his sales process more efficient.
That makes a lot of sense. But wait, there's more, right? I remember him talking about another tool for project management.
You have a good memory. Yeah. On top of all that, he uses ClickUp, which is a more advanced project management platform. It helps him manage complex projects, delegate tasks, and track progress.
Wow, it's like he has this digital team working behind the scenes.
Yeah, kinda. And all these tools help him save time and energy so he can focus on the big picture stuff.
Yeah, that makes sense. But even with all the tech in the world, you still need to have a solid foundation, right?
Absolutely.
What about Tim's personal routines and habits? Are there any productivity secrets he's willing to share?
One thing that really stood out to me was his daily routine.
Oh, okay.
He's really disciplined and structured, but he also makes sure to take care of himself.
Okay, walk me through a typical day in the life of Tim Stoddard.
So get ready for this. He wakes up at 4 a.m.
4:00 a.m.
Wow, that's dedication.
Right. He starts his day with some water and coffee.
The essentials.
Exactly. And then from 4:00, it's all about focus work. He tackles his most important tasks, makes big decisions, and sets the tone for the day.
So he gets 4 solid hours of deep work in before most people even wake up.
Exactly.
Very impressive. What happens next?
From 8:30 to 10:00, he hits the gym.
Okay.
He believes that physical exercise is really important to keep his energy up throughout the day.
It's good to see that he makes time for his health,
Yeah.
even with such a busy schedule.
Right. It's all about balance. Then from 10:30 to 4:00, it's back to business, meetings, deals, any urgent tasks that come up.
So a good mix of strategy and action.
Exactly. And then from 5:30 to 9:00, it's family time. He disconnects from work and spends quality time with his loved ones.
That's awesome. He's not letting his success consume his whole life.
Exactly. And then after that, it's lights out, ready to repeat the next day.
That's a very regimented schedule, but it clearly works for him. It does.
Do you think everyone needs that kind of routine to be successful?
That's a good question. I think having structure and sticking to it can be really helpful. But it's not for everyone. The key is to find what works best for you. You know what allows you to be productive and happy.
I agree. Now, Tim has also been very open about the challenges of being an entrepreneur, the ups and downs.
Yeah, he's talked about how the worry never stops.
It's true.
You're always thinking about risks and making tough decisions.
Yeah.
And there's always uncertainty.
Yeah, you always feel the pressure to keep things moving forward.
Exactly. But Tim also talks a lot about the importance of process.
Oh, yes. Process is king.
Can you explain what he means by that?
It's about having systems and procedures for everything, from how you bring on new clients, to how you manage projects, to how you create content.
Okay.
It helps your business run smoothly and makes it easier to grow.
So you're creating a framework that can support your growth without everything falling apart. Exactly. And he actually recommends this book called The E-Myth Revisited, which talks about how to build a business that can run without you needing to be involved in every single detail.
That's a great recommendation. I'll have to check that out.
And then there's his advice to just make it to midnight.
Oh, yeah. What's that all about?
It's this little mantra he uses to stay grounded and focused on the present moment. When things get overwhelming, he just reminds himself to take it one day at a time. Break down those big goals into smaller, more manageable steps.
It's a good reminder that we don't need to have everything figured out right now.
Right.
We just need to keep moving forward one step at a time.
Exactly. And I think that's one of the most inspiring things about Tim's story. He's not afraid to be vulnerable, to talk about his struggles, and to show us that success isn't about being perfect. It's about being resilient, adapting, and being open to learning and growing.
It's about embracing the whole journey with all its ups and downs.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But, we've talked a lot about Tim's businesses and his routines, but we haven't really gone into his investment philosophy yet.
You're right. We touched on his criteria for choosing investments, but there's so much more to explore, like how he manages risk, how he evaluates potential opportunities, and what he thinks about the future of online business.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's a perfect way to transition into the final part of our deep dive, where we'll really unpack Tim's insights on investing innovation and building a lasting legacy.
Okay, so stay tuned, everyone. We'll be back after a quick message.
All right, welcome back to the show, everyone. We've been talking about Tim Stoddard, and we've covered his journey from blogger to multimillionaire entrepreneur, his strategies for building businesses, his crazy effective time management skills, and even his super disciplined daily routine. But now I want to dive into something we briefly touched on earlier, Tim's investment philosophy.
Yeah, this is where things get really fascinating. He's not just building his own success. He's actively investing in other entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
And helping them grow. And he has this really unique approach.
Okay, I'm all ears. What makes his approach so special?
So we already talked about his three main criteria, know.
He wants to like and trust the founder. He wants to make sure the business is already making money. And he focuses on those evergreen businesses that have long-term potential.
Right.
But it goes deeper than that.
Okay, let's break it down a little more. You mentioned that trust is really important to him. So what does he look for in a founder to know that he can trust them?
Well, he believes that passion and integrity are super important. He wants to invest in people who are truly excited about their businesses and who are committed to doing things the right way. He says he can spot a fake from a mile away. So being genuine is key.
So it's not just about the business idea itself, it's about the character of the people behind it.
Exactly. For Tim, investing is about supporting the right people, just as much as it's about supporting the right ideas. He sees it as a partnership where he can share his experience and help entrepreneurs navigate those tough challenges.
That's a really cool way to look at it. And what about his focus on cash flow? Why is that so important to him as an investor?
He's all about making decisions based on data. He wants to see that a business is actually working before he invests. Cash flow is a good indicator of that, and it helps reduce his risk.
Yeah, it makes sense, especially in the world of startups, which can be so unpredictable. He's not gambling. He's investing in proven success.
Exactly. And this also connects back to his idea of evergreen businesses. He's looking for companies that are solving problems that are always going to be around, no matter what's happening in the market.
So can you give us some more examples of what those evergreen businesses might look like?
Sure. Think about things like healthcare, education, personal finance. These are areas that will always be in demand because they're meeting those essential human needs.
Yeah, that's a really good point. So it seems like Tim's investment philosophy is like a mix of intuition, careful research, and that focus on long-term sustainability.
You got it. He's not looking for quick wins. He's building a portfolio of companies that he believes in that will make a positive impact on the world for years to come.
I love that. Now I'm curious, has Tim ever shared any stories about investments that didn't work out?
Oh, he definitely has. And he's totally open about his mistakes.
Yeah.
He believes that mistakes are just part of the process. You can't avoid them. And the key is to learn from them. So he's told this story about a company he invested in.
Okay.
And on paper, it looked amazing. But it turned out the founders just weren't that committed.
Oh.
They didn't have the drive to actually make it work. So for Tim, it was a big lesson about how crucial it is to evaluate the people involved not just the idea itself.
I think it's great that he's so open about his failures. It makes him seem more relatable. And it shows that success isn't about being perfect. It's about learning and adapting as you go.
Absolutely. Tim's story really emphasizes the fact that success is a journey, not a destination. And that journey is going to have both wins and losses.
Yeah, I agree. So as we wrap up this deep dive into the world of Tim Stoddard, what are the key takeaways you think our listeners should remember?
Oh, there are so many valuable lessons in Tim's story. But if I had to choose a few, I'd say first and foremost, be authentic. Be yourself. Tim built his whole empire by staying true to who he is and sharing his story with the world. Don't be afraid to show your true self and connect with people in a genuine way.
That's great advice. What else?
Second, be strategic, have a plan. Tim's success didn't happen by accident. He made smart choices, he built systems, and he surrounded himself with the right people. So think about what you want to achieve and create a roadmap to get there.
Okay, that makes sense. And lastly,
never stop learning. Tim is always looking for new knowledge, experimenting, adapting to the changing business world. Embrace that growth mindset and be open to adjusting your approach along the way.
such good advice. And all of that really ties back to Tim's philosophy of one keyword at a time.
It does.
It's about focusing your energy, mastering your craft, and building something truly meaningful.
Exactly. It's a great reminder that we don't need to have all the answers or a perfect plan to achieve success. Just start with that one thing that you're passionate about, that one step forward, and see where it leads you.
So well said. Well, that wraps up our deep dive into the incredible journey of Tim Stoddard. We hope you enjoyed exploring his world with us and that you learned some valuable insights that you can apply to your own endeavors.
Thanks for joining us.
And until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep diving deep.